Thank you. Good afternoon. In order to generate value today, in today's business world, we need less technique and more you. My name is Paolo Ruggeri. I'm an entrepreneur. I manage 12 companies in 6 different countries. Sometimes in life, you get stuck and you don't know anymore what you have to do. For a professional or a business owner like me, this may mean that you feel you are running behind, you are losing ground. But this concept doesn't apply only in business. It also applies in personal life. Sometimes it is in personal life you don't know what to do. To explain my concept, I will start with a very simple example. I will take a waiter, a server, somebody who works in a restaurant, and this person would like to generate more value. And because she thinks that if she generates more value for a restaurant, she will make a little bit more of money. So how could she generate value? What could she do to generate more value for her company? See, somebody in the room may say that she could be super nice to customer, and that's the way to generate value. But let's, for example, assume that that night a very rude person came into the restaurant. A very negative customer. See, when you are telling me that she has to be nice in order to generate value, you are basically telling me that this server should be in front of the customer, and the customer is very negative, and she should make a small emotional sacrifice. She would like to kill him. But, she makes a small emotional sacrifice and she says, okay, sir, I'm going to go again, check in the kitchen. Don't worry, we'll solve your issue. Somebody else may say that in order to generate value, she should attempt at selling something, maybe a bottle of wine. But again, let's assume that this person is a little bit shy. So again, what you are telling me is that, the customer is there, the clients are sitting at the table. So would you buy a bottle of wine? By making an emotional sacrifice, she generates more value for her company. Why this is important? Because it doesn't matter how you look at it. In order to generate value today, you have to make emotional sacrifices. Now, I warn you, on the next slide, there's going to be a picture of me. So really, it's true. So it's not because I'm arrogant, but it's something I do out of superstition. I show you, because it's an important slide. I'm this one, Okay, no, I'm kidding. Joking aside, this slide is very important. Why? Because it explains the process to generate or to bring about value. See, if I stay in my comfort zone, that is to say, I never do any emotional sacrifice. I never do something that challenges me on the side of emotion. I'm gonna consume the value I've built for myself in the past. When it is that I'm generating new value, when I do something that is uncomfortable, that requires that I do an emotional sacrifice, like when I do something out of courage, or when I go against my fears, or when I learn to do something new, like public speaking, for instance. You see, what is my comfort zone? My comfort zone is going to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I have a few meetings with my people, and then I answer some email. And then in the afternoon, I go to do a presentation I know verbatim. I've done it hundreds of times. If I stay in my comfort zone, if this this year I'm able to charge 2,500 euros for a consulting day. Next year, I will be able to charge only 2,300. I'm going to lose ground toward the market. Instead, one day, a few years ago, it happened to me that a friend of mine called me and said, hey, Paolo, we need you for a presentation. You have to come, please, please, please. You need to be a speaker. And I said, what's the topics? And he said to me, the topics is perspective and opportunities for companies selling wheat. The grain. No, not the weed. Weed is another thing. Wheat, grain. So I said, I know, it would have been much better if wheat. I would have gone immediately. But, it doesn't happen. It's still a young industry in the US. So, excuse me for my accent. Anyway, sometimes people say, wow, when I tell this story, sometimes people tell me, wow, you really do an interesting career. I would like to, I know. It's okay. So we're talking about the grain, the things we used to do, bread and flour. So I said, look, sir, I know nothing about the marketing and sales of wheat. I know a lot about wheat, but wheat, no, nothing. So, anyway, so the person says, no, but Paolo, don't worry. You don't have to talk about sales and marketing of wheat. You have to talk about, motivation and goals, the comfort zone, the areas where you are really strong. I need you to help me motivate these people. So I say, and then he tells me, somebody else from the Department of Agriculture will speak after you, and he will explain how to sell the grains, and the marketing. You need to do the first part. You need to motivate these guys. So I accept. I go to the presentation, and my speech, it's around 11 o'clock. But I get there earlier, to prepare everything. I get there at 8:30. And I start to prepare my PowerPoint, and to check out that everything is okay. And I start to see in the room that the average age of the people attending the presentation is 70. And they are all farmers. And they are dressed like farmers. So I started to feel a little bit uncomfortable. I took out my tie. And I'm there with PowerPoint. So I go to the organizer and I say, sir, let me understand something. Can I speak to the guy from the Department of Agriculture who will talk about marketing? Because it would be really good if we coordinate the speeches. And he looks at me and he says, what do you mean? I say, no, I have to motivate them. Then after my speech, somebody else will explain how to sell the wheat, the grain. And he looks at me and says, I don't understand. After me, there is somebody else who will speak about the marketing and sales of this stuff. And he says, no, it's you. These people, they are in the worst recession since 20 years. And they've come here from all over the country to listen to solutions. They don't know what to do. See, immediately I was in the uncomfort zone. So in the next 2.5 hours, I went on the internet to try to understand how come the Canadian grains would cost more than the European grains. And why the drought in Australia would impact the price. And during the breaks, I would go to the guy and say, in order to sell wheat, and he told me, wheat or wheat? No. In order to sell wheat, I would do this and this and that. And the guy would tell me, wow, that's a good idea. Then I would keep it on the slide. Otherwise, I would erase it. So that's good. I was generating value because I was out of my comfort zone. Comes the presentation. Look, they beat the hell out of me. They started to tell me, no, you don't understand. You are completely incompetent. But you see, I tried to defend my thesis as much as I could. So at the end, it didn't go really well. But, at the end, I saved myself. I saved my skin. After the presentation, somebody comes to me and says, Mr. Ruggeri, you're good, man. I like your presentation. You know nothing, absolutely nothing about wheat. But I like your style. And you know what? I know a company that needs your services. And he introduced me to an Israeli company that over the next 2 years bought 200,000 euros worth of training from me. By going out of my comfort zone, I had generated value. Now, look, thank you, but it's not me. We have to talk about you. See, because you are the most important person in this room right now. It's not me. So, see, now, 2 are the feelings that tell you that you are out of your comfort zone. The first one is adrenaline. Adrenaline is the feeling you have when you know you have taken a very important decision. I'm going to terminate this guy. That's it. I'm going to talk to him. Now it's over. It's adrenaline is the feeling I had when I decided to bring my company to the United States. And I said, man, why did we do this? It's crazy. We may go bankrupt. We need to be on the ball. The feeling you have after you have taken a very important decision. Adrenaline or enthusiasm. You cannot sleep at night because the next day you have a fantastic, great things coming and you cannot sleep. Adrenaline, enthusiasm, or you're going to be worthless in the future. That's the bottom line. Now, this doesn't apply to you. In other rooms, when I do other speeches to other people, when people don't feel adrenaline or enthusiasm in that moment, it doesn't apply to you. It is because, normally, there is a very important decision they should take in their lives that they are not taking. And normally, they also already know which one is the decision. So in order to generate value, it's that decision that you are thinking about right now. In order to generate value, you don't need to pay 300 euros per hour to a consultant like me. You don't need new information. But what you need is the courage to act on what you already know. To go speak to that person, to take up that new activity in the company, to learn to do marketing, to jump into the new challenge. And let me talk for a moment about fear. Because you see, we all have fear. I manage 12 companies and I have big fears. And we tend to escape fear. And it's natural. But you see, what is fear? Fear is the first chemical ingredient of enthusiasm. The enthusiasm of today, it was the fear of yesterday. If you want to feel enthusiasm tomorrow, you need to take a scary decision today. Think about everything you consider valuable in your life. If you have a company, your company. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your partner. Don't you have all those things because at one point in your life, you were able to fight against shyness. You confronted a challenge. Maybe, you had a job in another company and it was a good job and you left it. And you jump into the unknown. The fear of today, it's the enthusiasm of tomorrow. So, It's like you have taken the parachute training and you study all the theory, and one day you are on the plane and it opens the door and you say, okay, jump. And you say, hey, hold it. But you have your parachute. You don't have to be afraid. Get out of your comfort zone. Learn new things. Accept new challenge. Take that decision. Drop that toxic person you have around you. Fly. We need less technique, more you. See, even if I have a 12 years old daughter, and at school, lately she has been studying mythology, Ulysses and all these people. And one thing I've learned from mythologists is that at the end, in all these legends, there is an hero who gets beaten up. They rape his wife and they steal his children and they kill his friends until he says, that's it. And he accepts a challenge. He makes an emotional sacrifice. And the moment he makes the emotional sacrifice, everything turns around. Maybe also mythology is helping us understand what we should be doing today. See, there have been economic ages. And in every economic age, there has been an activity that would help you generate value. A type of activity that could be considered hard work. At the time of our grandfathers, it was the age of the body. So the hard work that would make you progress in life would be physical effort, toiling. The more physical effort you would do, the better off you would be financially. Then came the industrial age. And the people who would use physical effort as their hard work were left behind. They worked more to make less. Because the age of the mind had come. In the age of the mind, the hard work was being good at organizing, being good with numbers. Now, the people who are good with numbers and are good with organizing in Western Europe, in Eastern Europe, are going behind. They protest. They are not able to keep anymore their standard of living. Why? Because it has come the age of the heart. In the age of the heart is the courage that makes you progress. Think about everything that is considered valuable today by customers. Experiences, emotions, caring, interest. We are in the age of the heart. And in order to progress, you have to display some heart, some courage. So take that decision. It's a little bit like they did the organizers of TEDxStaraZagora. Yes, they accepted a challenge. They took a decision. And look, they generated value and they will be rewarded for it. Maybe not financially immediately, but they will be rewarded. And like you could do if you take that decision. If you do an emotional sacrifice, if you get out of your comfort zone, in the business world, we don't need more technique. We need more you. We are waiting for you. Thank you very much.